station.
It's down to Laurie Steptoe.
The Major Rennie Trophy is underway. GPS head of the river for 1982 as we go across the course in Station 1, the eastern side, Sydney Grammar. Then Scots College in 2. Then alongside of them Newington in 3. St Ignatius in 4. Shore School in 5. Sydney High School in 6. King's School in 7. And St Joseph's in 8. And what a wonderful shot we have now as the two leaders come up to us with under a quarter of a mile covered. Shore School just narrowly in the lead of King's waiting down, then St Ignatius, and the line across the river, Sydney Grammar, Scots on the far side, St Joseph's, Newington starting to trail, and then Sydney High School. A great race developing. Let's just concentrate on Shore and on King's. You will note that King's are rating just a little lower than Shore School. King's at I reckon about 33, 34 strokes to the minute. Are just trailing Shore School as we come up to the 1.25 mile mark. In other words, a quarter of a mile covered, and we have Shore just in front of King's School, and then following or trailing in third position is St Ignatius College. Then we have in station number 1 on the eastern side, Sydney Grammar. Then we'd have Scots, Newington. Whilst on the far side, western side, we have St Joseph's. Trailing back is Sydney High School.
Shore rating
some steering
35.
Instructions now being given to Shore and to King's. We have a rating on Shore School.
35.
Shore rowing very well indeed as they come down the course, but the challenge is now coming from King's School. Just remember that this King's School 8 is a very big, strong crew. Whenever they have been rowing, we've always seen their controlled rating, and in fact, that's what is required on the Nepean River whenever you row in these conditions. And Kings are slowly but surely moving up and away from Shore School. Shore still quite strong in the water. Then we see the next in the race is St Ignatius College. I was just checking then on St Joseph's on the far or western side, but St Joseph's College is starting to drop back. It's still clearly a challenge between Shore and King's at this point in the race.
King's rating 34.
King's, in fact, are covering their blades well. Just note the difference in the rate of striking. Shore responded there and did, in fact, increase their rating. But it's still King's, strong in the water, good body swing, good boat run, and they're moving away from Shore. Every challenge that comes from Shore, they respond to. King's in front from Shore, and then almost a line across the river, although trailing a little bit is St Joseph on the western side. So taking it from the lead, King's leading from Newington. Then would be St Ignatius College and a strongly improved Newington crew. Then we have Scots, and in station number 1, or on the eastern side of the course, Sydney Grammar. Grammar just having a slight steering problem at this stage as they move in station number 1, but they're still rowing very well indeed. But undoubtedly, as we come up to the halfway mark, 3/4 of a mile covered in this 1.5 mile event, it's King's School moving further away from Sydney Shore and all the other challenges. The conditions, as mentioned, throughout the morning have been wonderful. They still apply, and there's very little breeze, reasonably cool for the oarsmen, and King's School relishing the work, strongly in the water, as I said earlier, and they seem to be completely untroubled, and undoubtedly it'll have to be an extremely strong challenge from Shore, and Shore only, to separate King's School from the Major Rennie Trophy this year. King's swinging well, down the course they go, just positioning the other crews. It's still Shore School rowing second to them. Newington improving its position, as is Scots. Scots very bright in the water, rowing in station 2 on the eastern side. They're throwing out a challenge to Newington, but it really is at this stage King's head of the river. King's well clear from Shore. Then we have St Ignatius, Newington. Improving is Scots College, and Sydney Grammar in station number 1. St Joseph's also starting to move up, and it's only Sydney High School that is trailing right back and out of the event. So as they go down the course with just over a 1/4 mile to go, it's still clearly King's from Shore. Newington, St Ignatius, Scots, and then Grammar, St Joseph's and Sydney High School. That's the position as they come into the final quarter of a mile as we cross to our shore commentators.
Well, it's King's School rowing another copybook race. They're at 33, and King's Andrew Braddock has got his crew rowing absolutely magnificently. The tactical race was rowed early. Shaw tried to make King's race at the beginning, but King's just took their measure as they got to the end of the first half mile, and it's been King's all the way. At this stage, it's King's in the lead clearly now from Shaw. In third place then is the Scots College. But there's the King's crew. It's an absolutely outstanding crew. The biggest crew in the race. They average almost 83 kilograms. The stroke Andrew Braddock really making the crew move very powerfully and strongly. They're very much together. The coxswain, I imagine, would be the most excited for on the river. He's coming up for his third head of the river. He was in the crew that won 2 years ago. He coxed the crew that won last year, and here's his chance to take the third one. The King's now at 34. They get down now. There's just about 400 metres to go, and King's in the lead now from, it is short, Sydney Grammar improving their position and trying out a bit of a challenge. Well up right with them is Shaw, also moving very powerfully there is the Scots College. A little further back then to Newington College, St Ignatius and Joseph's and Sydney High. But there it is as we get into the final stages now. The King's School across on the Emu Plain side in lane 7. They're rowing an absolutely magnificent race. They're in the lead now from a great race coming now from Sydney Grammar School, and then back in third place would be the Scots College. Then behind them comes Newington College, Shaw and St Ignatius, and then further back to St Joseph's College, and then well back to Sydney High School. Just about 250 metres to go in the head of the river of 1982, and it's the King's School in the lead. A great row coming from Grammar on the Penrith side. They've taken up second placing now, almost taken away from Shaw. Also moving strongly is the Scots College. Grammar at 34. King's at the moment have got this race in their complete control. It's a great head of the river 8, this one, and there it's going to make it a double for King's, the first and second 8s. King's out now to something like 2 lengths margin it would be over Sydney Grammar School. In third place, Scots College now. This crew coached by Ted Hale doing very well. Then just in behind them comes Shaw. Then comes Newington, St Ignatius College, St Joseph's College and Sydney High. But it's King's all the way virtually. Shaw led early. King's took it over at the end of the first half mile. And if you've ever seen a great schoolboy 8, you're seeing one now. This would be, I think, the best schoolboy 8. They're coming home to the line at a rating of 33. And King's are magnificent, and Ken St Heaps, the coach, must be a very proud man. King's to the line, stroked beautifully by Andrew Braddock. The coxswain, Lachlan McLean, a great win to King's. King's first. In second place, it will be a fine row by Sydney Grammar School, a great row by Grammar. Third place is going to be awfully tight between Shaw and Scots, very close, very, very tight. Shaw perhaps just in advance of Scots, then St Joseph's College, then Newington College, St Ignatius College, and then Sydney High. Well, I guess you could not see a greater head of the river than that. We've thought all the season that King's were great, but they proved today. The King's crew, elated they are. There's the stroke, Andrew Braddock congratulating his 7-man. It's a double for the 7-man. That's Andrew Figtree in the 7th seat. In the 6th seat, it's Dan Lewis. In the 5th seat, Chris Weiss. In the 4th seat, Jeff O'Neill. In the 3rd seat, Hamish Robson. Meacham Philpott 2, David Bellamy Bow. And the coach, Ken St Heaps. He's been assisted this year by Rob Rowan-Smith in making sure the crew was fit, and that would be one of the fittest schoolboy 8s I've ever seen. Certainly very effective all the way, and it's King's Day here because they've won the first 8s, they've won the second 8s. An absolutely outstanding crew.
The first 8's about 8 seconds faster than the second 8.
Well, that's a great time. And it really just goes to show what Ken St Heaps said earlier in the week. He was saying what a wonderful thing it was for him to have 2 8s in such a high standard. That was good for the second 8 to be able to race and train against the first 8, and it really made the first 8 move too. But that was the crew that we thought was going to win almost from the beginning of the season. And in absolutely perfect conditions here, we've seen an excellent crew, and it was a great race. I thought Shaw did very well. I thought Shaw did the only thing possible, and that was to try and make the race early. Try and push King's and try and get a break if you could, because that was the only tactic for Shaw, and Bob Shirler, the coach, absolutely did the right thing. Because we all knew that if King's got the lead, then that was the finish.
And Doug Newington second for the last 4 years in a row, just not able to make contact today.
Well, Newington, I think they had a few problems today. Newington are coached by Michael Morgan. He's a great coach, an Australian Olympic coach. He had a few problems and a few crew changes. He thought his crew would be in there at the finish, and they certainly rode a good race, but it was hard to see anyone defeating Kings today. They're that good.
So there's the huge spectator contingent here for a very exciting 1982 Head of the River. Victory going in magnificent style to the King's School, who've taken out the double with the second and the first eights. We'll just recap on some earlier results which we had not confirmed. The first was for the Rally Cup, first placing to Newington College from Shaw, with the King's School in third place. The time was 5:39.66. The margin's half a length by 1.5 lengths. And repeating that in the second eights, the King's School, they were the victors here this afternoon on the Nepean River. Shaw in second place, Grammar in third place. The time was 7:41.30. The margin's 3.5 lengths by 2 lengths.
Well, a great win by Kings, as we said before. I thought a good row also by Sydney Grammar School. Sydney Grammar School, an outstanding row to pick up that second place, and Shaw third. Sydney Grammar School had an amazing number of races last week. They were a finalist at the Gold Cup Regatta, but you can't take a thing away from Kings. Kings is the only crew you really talk about today, because it's an outstanding crew. They're big, they're powerful, they were together, and a wonderful day for Kings that here it was today.
So the official time, 7:36.21. 7:36.21 for the King's School in the championship eights, and that's about 5 or 6 seconds faster than the second eights, which gives you an idea of the mighty performance by the King's School here this afternoon. A very